Hi guys, it's Shar. Welcome back to my channel, Craftin' Up a Storm. Today I have even more fall inspired projects because I can't get enough. Today's projects are all about pumpkins, so hopefully one of them will fit in with your fall decor. Let's get crafting. For this project, I started with a styrofoam pumpkin from Dollar Tree and some tissue paper. I don't remember where I got this tissue paper. I did see it or something very similar to it at Hobby Lobby lately. I don't remember getting it at Hobby Lobby before, but I may have. I've had it for a long time. I started by cutting the stem off my styrofoam pumpkin, and now I'm going to paint it cashew chalk paint just because I don't want that orange to show through the tissue paper. I started by Mod Podging on a long strip of tissue paper, but I realized it's really better to kind of do smaller pieces because, you know, it's just not a smooth surface to apply it on. And with this busy pattern, it's not a problem. I can use pieces, and if the pattern isn't exactly matched up, it's okay. It kind of hides that just fine, and it's a nice busy pattern. Now I'm putting it on, and I am snipping it in places so that it goes around that curve on the pumpkin and it helps it lay better. And then I do smooth it down with my finger as well too, and kind of get those wrinkles out. And I try and get it as smooth as possible. So even though I'm putting it in a ridge, when I put it on, wherever I feel like it needs to lay flat, I'll kind of do a snip and then paint that down with some more Mod Podge. And I got it to lay pretty good and flat. This one, I think I'll show you, I kind of do 2 snips in it and get it to lay down good. I just continue to do this over the entire pumpkin and just cover it with bits and pieces. And you can see with this busy pattern, it's fine. It doesn't have to match up. You can get it to match up. You can do it in small pieces in order to get it to lay and kind of get them to match up very well. But I was fine with this look. So now I'm going to take some of the berry twine and I'm going to wrap it around so it kind of curls up. This will be my little curly cues for my pumpkin. Get it all curled. And then I think I end up cutting it in half so I can put it in 2 places. I find a wood stump, and this came out of the bag from Dollar Tree. That fits over that hole, and I put that on and glue down my little twine or my little wire berries. And then I'm using some of these kind of purplish leaves. What do you guys think of this non-traditional kind of pink and purple pumpkin? I think it's cute. This next project, I used a background that I had made previously. It was the back of one of the house shadow boxes from Dollar Tree, and I had added a roof, and then I put one of the decorative tiles on the front. I ended up not using it, so I'm going to use it for this project. I don't want that shiny background though, so I'm going to paint over it with the Waverly chalk paint in cashew. And now I'm taking 3 different size pumpkins. I'm kind of playing with my colors. I'm using, I think it's Pool or Agave. I can't remember. It might be Agave. And I'm just adding a little black to it and then a little white to it to kind of get some shades of the same color. The black added to it kind of came out a little bit too gray, but I think I added some more color on top. But you see, I had just done some spots on all of them, just flicking some black paint on. Now I'm using my hot wire and I'm cutting all my pumpkins in half. And I have 3 different sizes, and I'm going to make a topiary with them largest on the bottom and going up. I also have one of those wood stumps, and I don't know how, but I managed to cut it in half. And I'm going to use half of that also at the bottom, and that will be like my holder. I'm putting some of the floral moss in between the stump and then each pumpkin, and I just hot glued it on there, and then I kind of trimmed it away with some small scissors. So I'm adding my largest pumpkin half to the bottom and gluing that down, a little more moss on the top of that one, and trim it. And then my medium pumpkin. And so you can see it's just a little bit lighter colored paint. I put moss on top of that one, and then my smallest pumpkin is the lightest color. I was kind of going for an ombre look to it a little bit. Now, because that background is so stark, I want to distress it, add a little antique wax, and give it some shadow. So I'm going in with the brush, and then I'm rubbing it with a soft cloth. And that's my topiary. I also, after I do the background, I do this to all sides and get it even and just nice and distressed. I do add some blocks to the back of it. I think I add 3 to help it stand up. And there's my little pumpkin topiary. This project was super easy. I just grabbed one of the bamboo hoops from Dollar Tree. They come in a package of 2, and this is the smaller one. And they had some wonderful pumpkin orange colored yarn. And so I just tacked the yarn down to the inside of the hoop, and I'm just going to wrap the hoop with the yarn. And I tried to get them to stay as nice and straight as possible. And yes, it's small yarn and it's going to take a little while, but it's not too bad. The biggest thing to worry about is not getting the yarn tangled. I noticed if I kept the yarn kind of tied up tight, I could just flip it through the hoop several times and then straighten them up and just continue around that way. I'm about halfway through, so I just continue on, just covering that entire hoop in orange. Next, I'm going to kind of fill in the middle of the hoop with color and yarn. I'm just going to go across from one side to the other, not necessarily straight across. Just a random pattern. And once I have it across, I'm wrapping it around the hoop to stay in place. And I'm just crisscrossing it everywhere. I'm trying not to make a star pattern, but I'm just trying to fill it in random and kind of just crisscross it here, there, and everywhere. It was much easier to take a piece of yarn off because as this fills in, it's harder and harder to get a large amount of yarn through it. So I just keep going around, and I sped this way up, but I just want to show you I just keep crisscrossing. Once I come to the end of this yarn, though, I'm not done. I want it really filled in. So I just keep adding pieces of yarn until I have it where I want it. I'm going to show you in the next section what I do when the yarn starts to really get filled in. This crochet hook came in real handy just to reach through, grab that yarn and pull it through every time, because I was kind of running out of space to stick the yarn through. And this is what it looks like when it's done. I just filled it in until I was happy with it. I took 4 tumbling tower blocks and glued 2 end to end to sandwich on either side to kind of help this hoop stand up. It's wide enough. It's not too bad, but this gives it an even flat surface for a stand. Now I'm going to add some of the Spanish moss to each side of the stand and a few floral leaves. I also used one of the twigs from the packet from Dollar Tree and made a stem. And then I decided to wrap a little bit of raffia around the stem. And I'm not tying this in a bow. I'm just leaving it kind of loose. It's kind of like my vines. And then I put a fall colored bow on the top, and that's it. It's just different. It's a little different take on a pumpkin. Let me know what you guys think of this one. For this project, I had 2 of these styrofoam sticks from Dollar Tree. Honestly, I haven't looked for them lately, but I've had these in my stash for a while, so I don't know if they have any available right now. They are about 12 inches, so I wanted 3 pieces from each. I cut them down into 4-inch sections. I used my hot wire, but I missed filming that. Now I'm going to take each of these and I'm just going to kind of groove them out a bit, going down one side. And then when I turn it a little bit, these grooves are going to be offset from the first set of grooves. I saw a wood pumpkin like this at Hobby Lobby, and I'm kind of copying it. I'll try and put the picture of the inspiration pumpkin on here, and then show you how this one came out. But using that hot knife, of course, or that hot wire, it's pretty easy to notch these. Now I'm going to coat them in pumpkin chalk paint. I just want a base coat. I'm not really worried about it. I want to get it mostly covered, but I'm not super worried about it. Now I'm going to brush on a little bit of highlight with a lighter orange, almost kind of a yellowy orange. And then I used these 2 colors, a medium orange and a red orange. And fortunately, I don't have that video either. But you'll see it at the end. You'll see that color added to it. Now I'm going in and dry brushing with some of the truffle chalk paint to give it a kind of a wood look to it and distress it a little bit. And I'll kind of show you a little closer. You'll be able to see those different layers of colors, the yellow and the reddish orange on there. Now, I should have done this before I painted all of the sticks, but I wanted to make sure they were all even. So I lined them up, kind of holding them in place with my ruler, and I just cut them all at the same time so that they were all exactly the same length. And then I had to repaint the tops of them again. So suggestion to all, if you need to do this, do it before you paint them. Now, I just found a piece of branch in my yard and I cut a stick off of it to use for the center. I'm going to glue all of these to it, and that's also going to be my stem. So I'm showing you, I just glued it down. Now, I held this in place for a very long time until that glue stiffened. Once it was good, I went in on the bottom and filled in some places, and on the top just to make sure that they stayed in place. I'm using some leftover floral leaves. And here's that berry twine again. And of course, a little bit of raffia. This time I did a bow. And that's the Hobby Lobby dupe pumpkin. Here is the Hobby Lobby inspiration pumpkin, and here's mine. For this last project, I picked up a wooden pumpkin at Dollar Tree. This one is a jack-o'-lantern. I didn't have any others. You don't have to use the jack-o'-lantern one. Whatever pumpkin shape you like. I cut down some chicken wire from Dollar Tree down to size and kind of cut around it so it was more or less the pumpkin shape. Then I bent the sides over and kind of trimmed up around the stem. Once I had it mainly bent over, I flipped the pumpkin and I continued bending around the edge. Because this is pretty good and sharp, and I would say wear gloves, don't do as I do. But I want to put a backing on it that's going to cover it up good. I would use maybe a good felt, or I chose to use a cork sheet from Dollar Tree to cover up the back. I had some in my stash. So I'm going to put a good generous amount of glue, and I don't know why I didn't take the sticky back off of it. There's a sticky back on the back of the cork sheet, but I didn't remove it. I just glued it down. And then I repeated and did a portion at the top. I had to do it in two pieces. Once I had the back covered, I wanted to kind of go in and go along the lines where the sections for this pumpkin would be with jute twine. I did this kind of slow because I wanted the shape to be pretty decent and not be kind of wavy and wonky. But I went around each section and around the edge with some jute twine. And then I also covered the stem with jute twine as well. And you can see it up there. And now that I have it all ready, I'm going to add some ribbon and embellish it. I chose these ribbons to do a scrap ribbon bow. And I just took a piece of wire tie and wrapped it around. And now I'm covering that with some jute twine. I glued down my bow. And I wanted to add, I added some floral leaves, and I wanted to add one of these little pumpkins, but I kind of cut the back off of it so it will sit flat. And I glued that down. I also glued a little twig stem to the pumpkin. And now I've got some of these berries off a floral pick, and I'm going to add those. The last thing I'm going to do is add one of these chalkboard tags from Crafter Square. And I wrote it in pencil in kind of thin, skinny letters. Those are really easy to kind of get to look nice. Handwriting. I don't handwrite well, but this came out good. After I wrote it in pencil, I went over it with the metallic marker from Crafter Square as well. And I just stuck that on the side, and that's my last pumpkin. Here are all my non-traditional pumpkins. Let me know if you like any of these down in the comments. If you like these projects, hit the thumbs up button and consider subscribing to my channel. I would love to have you as part of the crafty family. Have a great day, and as always, keep crafting.